What did Sydney Colson reveal about Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever locker room that has WNBA bullies scrambling to cover their tracks? After months of Cheryl Swoops, Angel Reese, and others pushing lies about team dysfunction, Colson finally broke her silence on the Post Moves podcast. Her candid revelation completely destroys the narrative that jealous players have been spreading about the Fever. The truth about what actually happened in that locker room is so different from what the haters claim that it exposes their entire campaign of lies. And when you hear Colson's exact words, you'll see why the Fever are positioned perfectly for 2026. Here's what really kicked off this whole mess. The 2024 draft hadn't even finished when certain WNBA veterans started their coordinated attack on Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. You need to understand the timeline here because it reveals just how calculated this campaign was. Clark gets selected first overall in April, and before she even sets foot in the Fever practice facility, veterans are already planting seeds of doubt about her and her impact on a team. Cheryl Swoops led the charge with her inflammatory comments about locker room dysfunction before anyone could actually witness the team dynamics. She went on record questioning whether Clark could handle the professional environment and whether the Fever had the culture to support her. These weren't casual observations from a respected veteran. Swoops was deliberately creating a narrative of instability around a team that hadn't even started practicing together. Angel Reese and Agile Wilson jumped on board with their own version of character assassination. Reese made snide remarks in interviews about team chemistry, suggesting that individual success doesn't translate to professional team building. Wilson followed up with her own pointed comments about Clark being too overhyped and overshadowing the progress made by WNBA veterans, even hinting at racial undertones. Their timing was surgical. Every interview seemed designed to reinforce the same message about Clark and the Fever being unprepared for professional basketball. The media picked up these whispers and transformed them into full-blown headlines about a toxic Fever environment. Sports outlets started running stories about locker room tensions that didn't exist. Reporters began asking leading questions about team chemistry during press conferences. The narrative snowballed from veteran speculation into accepted fact across basketball media coverage. Asia Wilson is her name. God, it doesn't matter what we all do as black women, we're still going to be swept underneath the rug. That's why it boils my blood when people say it's not about race, because it is. What made this campaign so insidious was how it created expectations of failure before anyone could evaluate the actual team dynamics. Fans started expecting drama. Other players began questioning whether Indiana was a functional organization. The veterans had successfully created doubt where none should have existed. The timing reveals everything you need to know about their true motivations. Clark's arrival brought unprecedented attention to women's basketball. Television ratings were breaking records during her college career. Merchandise sales were through the roof. Corporate sponsorships were flowing in at levels the WNBA had never seen before. These veterans watched her command attention they had never received in their entire careers. Swoops, who should have been celebrating the growth of women's basketball, instead chose to tear down the player, bringing new fans to the sport. Reese and Wilson, who benefited from increased league visibility because of Clark's popularity, decided to bite the hand that was feeding their sport's expansion. Their jealousy was so transparent that it actually backfired on them with many basketball fans. This coordinated effort to paint the Fever as dysfunctional was built entirely on envy and fear. These veterans saw Clark's popularity threatening their status in the league hierarchy. They watched a rookie get endorsement deals and media coverage that exceeded anything they had achieved. Their response wasn't to elevate their own games or embrace the rising tide lifting all boats. Instead, they chose sabotage. Then came the moment that completely destroyed every lie the WNBA bullies had been spreading about Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. Sydney Colson sat down for the Post Moves podcast and decided to tell the real story about what actually happened inside that locker room. Her timing was perfect because the false narratives had reached their peak toxicity across social media and sports commentary shows. Yeah, I think the environment in the locker room was much better than what you would have anticipated as like somebody from the outside looking in. And I think that we were like intentional about doing stuff. Like when we got to the point where we started to hang out more and, everybody's like, oh, like, yeah, like, I'm enjoying people off the court. And at that point, we were already like on a stretch of like winning some games. We're like, oh, well, if hanging out off the court helps, we should just Keep doing that, maybe it'll help on court, you know what I'm saying? So, Colson's exact words hit like a nuclear bomb, dropped directly on all the manufactured drama that Cheryl Swoops and others had been promoting for months. She spoke with the authority of someone who lived through every practice, every team meeting, and every behind-the-scenes moment that outsiders could only speculate about. Her credibility as a veteran player made her testimony impossible to dismiss or downplay. Colson revealed that the locker room environment was much better than what you would have anticipated as somebody from the outside looking in. She emphasized how the team atmosphere exceeded expectations rather than falling short of professional standards. This directly contradicted every negative story that had been circulated about team chemistry problems and dysfunction among the players. She explained how off-court relationships actually made the on-court chemistry stronger instead of creating the distractions that critics had predicted. Players who spent time together away from basketball developed trust that translated into better communication during games. They understood each other's personalities and playing styles on a deeper level. This connection helped them anticipate each other's moves and provide better support during challenging moments. The veteran guard detailed how teammates would hang out together naturally without any forced team-building activities mandated by the coaching staff. Players chose to spend their free time with each other because they genuinely enjoyed the company. They would grab meals together after practice sessions. They would check in on each other during off days. These organic relationships created a foundation for success that couldn't be manufactured through corporate team-building exercises. But look at my story sometimes. I'm like, damn, like, why did you have to go down like this? But then I look at it like at my age now, and I'm like, I'm really glad that it did, because it made me tougher. It made me, I think, a more, even like compassionate teammate. I think I already was one, but now I look at like everybody's value as important. This wasn't some PR spin designed to protect the franchise's reputation or help with future free agent recruitment. Colson was a veteran player with nothing to gain by lying about team dynamics to make the organization look better. She had already established her career and reputation in the league. Her honest assessment carried weight because she had no ulterior motives for painting a rosier picture than reality. Colson detailed how the team reached early success levels without forced relationships, then got even better as those bonds deepened throughout the season. The initial chemistry allowed them to compete effectively right away. But as players got to know each other better personally, their basketball connection improved even more. They started finishing each other's plays. They communicated more effectively on defense. They celebrated each other's successes with genuine enthusiasm. Her leadership during rehabilitation from the ACL injury showed younger players what real mentorship looks like in professional basketball. Colson stayed engaged with team activities despite being unable to play. She offered guidance to teammates who were taking on increased roles. She helped maintain team morale during difficult stretches. This wasn't the fake drama that outsiders had imagined would tear the team apart. It was just another one of those things like, I look at it as like I've been telling you about me getting cut, what my journey's been, all of that, like little injuries along the way. I'll just look at it as another thing where I had to trust that what I'm going through is still part of God's plan for me. The veteran's presence during recovery demonstrated how experienced players should handle adversity in ways that strengthen rather than divide a locker room. She used her injury as a teaching moment for younger teammates about persistence and maintaining a positive attitude. Her approach showed rookies how to support each other through challenges. This kind of leadership directly contradicted every story about veteran players creating problems for younger teammates. Colson's honest assessment completely obliterated every false claim about fever dysfunction that had been spread by jealous competitors and their media allies. Her first-hand account revealed the truth about a team that had actually built something special together. The chemistry was real. The relationships were genuine. The culture was exactly what championship teams need to succeed. The veteran's words proved that jealous critics had been making up stories about a team they knew absolutely nothing about from personal experience. While the haters were busy spreading lies, something completely different was building in Indianapolis. The actual Fever players were forming bonds that would shock anyone who believed the outside noise about dysfunction and drama. From the very first team meetings, veterans and rookies started connecting on a level that went far beyond just basketball strategy. Aaliyah Boston started talking about how easy it was for teammates to connect off the court from day one. She watched players gravitate toward each other naturally during meals, team travel, and downtime between practices. Boston saw teammates sharing stories about their backgrounds, their families, and their dreams for the season ahead. These weren't forced team-building exercises mandated by coaching staff. Players were choosing to spend time together because they genuinely enjoyed each other's company. The team made a conscious effort to build trust through simple conversations and shared experiences away from the basketball court. Players would grab dinner together after practice sessions. They'd check in on each other via text messages during off days. Veterans would offer advice about adjusting to professional basketball life. Rookies would share their excitement about reaching the WNBA level. These interactions created genuine friendships that strengthened their on-court chemistry. Boston directly called out the internet gossip when she had enough of the false narratives circulating online. She explained how teammates would check on each other like family members, making sure everyone felt supported both personally and professionally. Boston emphasized that the team's camaraderie was built intentionally, with players working to foster a supportive atmosphere that directly contradicted every negative story being spread about their locker room culture. The real test of their bond came when injuries started hitting the roster throughout the season. Instead of falling apart under pressure, the team actually got stronger and more united. Players stepped into new roles without complaining about increased responsibilities. Teammates supported injured players through their recovery processes. The adversity revealed the true character of their relationships. Sidney Colson's ACL injury could have derailed everything if the jealous veterans had been right about locker room dysfunction. A major injury to a key veteran player would typically expose any underlying team chemistry issues. But Colson's injury actually brought the group closer together as teammates rallied around her during the rehabilitation process. Players made sure she stayed involved in team activities. They kept her spirits up during the long recovery timeline. We didn't like karaoke. It wasn't about that we were doing karaoke equal food. I bet. We were like doing karaoke, dancing, people drinking, but it was just a fun vibe. And honestly, I think that set the table because that was right before Commissioner Yelp and it would all have money. Everybody was just like loose and having a good time, enjoying one another. And I think we went into that game and we played like very free, very like together and confident. Veterans like Kelsey Mitchell and the rest of the leadership corps stepped up to fill gaps in the rotation without creating drama or demanding special treatment. Mitchell took on additional leadership responsibilities while maintaining her own high level of play. Other veterans embraced their roles in helping younger players adjust to increased minutes and pressure situations. The depth players who got opportunities because of injuries proved they belonged at the professional level. The team's mindset of next woman up became a crucial factor in their ability to compete, despite the injury challenges they faced throughout the season. This approach emphasized the importance of every player being ready to contribute when called upon. It helped the Fever stay focused and competitive even when key players were sidelined. Every player knew their role and prepared accordingly. Their ability to adapt to different playing styles, particularly with and without certain players on the floor, demonstrated remarkable versatility and resilience. The team learned to thrive in multiple systems depending on who was available to play. They could adjust their offensive approach based on the personnel they had healthy. They maintained defensive intensity regardless of which players were in the lineup. This flexibility became a key strength during a season marked by various challenges. The Fever were building exactly the kind of culture that championship teams need to succeed at the highest level. Players trusted each other completely. Veterans mentored younger teammates effectively. Everyone bought into their roles for the greater good of the team. The chemistry they developed translated directly into improved performance on the basketball court. This wasn't the broken locker room the jealous veterans had claimed would destroy Caitlin Clark and derail the franchise's future plans. Now that the truth is out, you can see exactly why Indiana is positioned to dominate the league's future. The veteran leadership corps that Colson helped build isn't going anywhere. It's getting stronger with each passing season. These players know how to handle adversity together. Caitlin Clark gets to develop in an environment that's already proven it can handle pressure and outside noise. She doesn't have to worry about locker room drama or veteran players undermining her success. The foundation is already there. This team culture can survive injuries, media attacks, and jealous competitors trying to tear it down. They've been tested and they passed every challenge thrown at them.